Today, we're going to roll some dice and we're going to create a character for Shadowdark. We're going to start by rolling 3d6 and we're going to go straight down the line from Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. And we rolled a 9 for Strength, 10 for Dexterity, 7 for Constitution, 12 for Intelligence, 7 for Wisdom, and 7 for Charisma. Now, in this case, whenever none of your stats are 14 or higher, there is an optional rule that if none of them are 14 or higher, you may roll a new set of 6 numbers. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Next, we'll choose our ancestry, and this is between dwarf, elf, goblin, half-orc, halfling, and human. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and choose human. Each option has its own buff, and for human, we are ambitious, so we gain 1 additional talent roll at first level. So we're going to go ahead and write that down so we don't forget. There are also modifiers to your stats, just like in D&D. And now we get to choose our class. We have the options between a fighter, a priest, a thief, and a wizard. Because priests use their wisdom stat to cast spells, we're going to go ahead and choose priest as our class, since that is our highest stat. Next, we get to roll for our talent using 2d6. Typically, you only get to choose 1 talent. However, since we chose human and we are ambitious, we get an additional talent roll at first level. Let's go ahead and roll. We're going to go ahead and write this. We get +1 to melee or ranged attacks. Let's see what our second one is. Alright, we got 11. So now we get +2 to strength or wisdom stat. We'll go ahead and give +2 to strength, making our strength stat 14, and our modifier would be +2. Next, we're going to roll for our hit points. As a priest, I get to roll 1d6, and then I add my constitution modifier. In this case, it's 0, so it doesn't matter, with a minimum of 1 hit point. So let's see what we get. 5. We'll take it. Now we get to choose our background by rolling a d20. I got a 5, so that is banished. Your people cast you out for supposed crimes. Next, we get to choose our alignment between chaotic, lawful, and neutral. Chaotic characters typically align with wickedness, lawful characters typically align with virtue, and neutral characters strike a balance between the two. So I think we're going to go ahead and go with neutral. Now we're going to choose a deity to worship. Typically you don't have to choose one, however since I am a priest, it is required by my class that I choose one. So I'm going to choose Ord, which is a neutral god. And it says in the book that Ord, the unbending, the wise, the secret keeper. He is the god of magic, knowledge, secrets, and equilibrium. Now we get to choose a title. Because I'm a level 1 neutral priest, I am a seeker. It is also important to note that because I chose human, I know the common language, and I get to choose 1 additional common language. And because I chose the priest class, I also know the languages celestial, diabolic, and primordial. And because I'm creating a level 1 character, it's going to take me 10 points of XP to get to level 2. And leveling up in this game is super simple. It is 10 times your level, and it always resets to 0 once you level up. It is also worth noting that first level characters start with 2d6 times 5 gold pieces. Let's see what we get. Alright, we got 8 and times 5 is 40. Not bad to start. Before we start spending our gold to buy some gear, it's important to note that as far as gear slots are concerned, this is one thing about this game that I really enjoy, because you can carry a number of items equal to your strength stat or 10, whichever is higher. So in this case, because my strength stat is 14, I can carry up to 14 items, and everything else I am unable to carry. Another important bit of information is that our armor class is 10 plus our dexterity modifier. However, wearing armor can change our AC. So in my case, 10 plus my dexterity modifier would make my AC 9. However, I'm going to use 10 of my 40 gold to purchase some leather armor, which says the AC is 11 plus the dexterity modifier, which would make my AC 10 instead, which is a little better. So I've written leather armor here on my gear, and I've subtracted 10 from my original total of 40. Now I have 30 gold left to spend. Because I'm a priest, I can wield a club, crossbow, dagger, mace, longsword, staff, or warhammer. And I think in this case, I'm going to choose a longsword. And as far as writing down our attacks for our longsword, we're going to make a note of that here. We can do 1d8 of damage at close range, which close range just means about 5 feet. And now we're going to choose some items to carry around for our adventures. We're going to choose 2 torches. Each of these costs about 5 silver pieces each, which 10 silver pieces is equivalent to 1 gold piece, so we'll keep that in mind. Next, we're going to choose rations. You get 3 rations, which would be good for about 3 days, so we're going to buy 2 rations. So 6 days total worth of food on our adventures, and one of these costs 5 silver pieces each, so this would be also equivalent to 1 gold piece as well. And finally, we'll choose some rope, which is equivalent to about 60 feet, and this costs 1 gold piece on its own. The rest, well, we're just going to say that our priest here is going to save this for treasure on the adventure. Before we choose our name, we're going to make a note of our spells. At first level, a priest can know 2 level 1 spells. And also, by default, we know the spell Turn Undead. So we're going to turn our page over and make a note of all of our spells on the back. In Shadowdark, spellcasting is very simple but also unique. If you succeed on a spellcasting check, for example, our priest makes a spellcasting check by rolling 1d20 plus our wisdom modifier. If we succeed, the spell takes effect, but if we fail, the spell does not take effect, and you can't cast that spell again until you complete a rest. For our other priest spells, we're also going to choose Cure Wounds. I also like to make a note of the page number in the book, that way I can quickly access it just in case I forget. We're also going to choose Shield of Faith. Finally, we can either choose a name that we like, or we can roll on the d20 table to pick one at random, so let's have a little bit of fun. I got a 14. So the name of our level 1 human priest is Rogar. And that is how you make a first level character in Shadowdark. It's very simple, intuitive, and it's fun to do. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, comment, subscribe. It would mean the world to me.